Did you ever wonder just how many ingredients are in one cigarette? I'm sure this number is much higher than what you're imagining. As a nursing student, I've seen many patients who smoke the majority of their life and have a list of health problems because of it, but they still continue to do it. For the next several minutes, I will cover some of the history of smoking in this country, the components of cigarettes, and the positive and negative health effects that go along with smoking. To start, Native Americans were the first ones to smoke tobacco, and they did so in pipes. They believed that it could cure and prevent different medical conditions, and they used it for ceremonial purposes. Then, in the 1600s, Europeans came to America, and tobacco became one of their most important cash crops. This continued through the 1800s, and especially flourished with the introduction of slavery and large plantations where they could produce and sell large amounts of tobacco, and they made a very large profit. The first cigarette was produced in the 1800s. With World War I, cigarette companies began making a lot of money, millions of dollars a year. This is because they marketed directly to soldiers and women. This is the first time that cigarette companies advertised to women, and they were very interested in them. They also began giving free cigarettes to soldiers, knowing that when they tried their product, they would enjoy it, become hooked, and continue to buy it. Then, in 1964, people began to realize that smoking wasn't as safe as what they thought it was, and the Surgeon General put out his first warning of the dangers of smoking, which included cancer and chronic bronchitis. In the 1980s, cigarette companies began producing cigarettes that had a filter and lower amounts of tar. In the 1980s, this was actually the time when there was the highest amount of people smoking on record. Since then, this number continues to decline every year. Currently, there's still 20% of adults that smoke. Although tobacco has been used for hundreds of years, there have been many chemicals added to produce the modern-day cigarette. There are around 600 ingredients in one cigarette. When that cigarette is lit, there are over 4,000 chemical compounds that are created that are going into your lungs and your bloodstream. The American Lung Association has stated that there are 50 of these compounds that are proven to cause cancer. These chemicals are used for household products, household cleaning products, and much more conventional uses. These include ammonia, which is used for a cleaner, acetone, which is a nail polish remover, formaldehyde, which is embalming fluid, butane or lighter fluid, carbon monoxide, which is released in car exhaust fumes, and tar, which is used obviously to pave roads. One might wonder, why do so many people still smoke then? I will now cover some of the reasons that people become addicted. First of all, nicotine is the ingredient in cigarettes that leads to the addictive response. Both of my parents smoked since they were in high school, so I figured what would be better than to ask somebody firsthand the reasons why they smoked. They both stated that it calmed them down, improved their memory and their attention span, and gave what my mom called a buzzed feeling, so sort of like a high. It's also used for dieting with many women because it suppresses the appetite, so instead of going for a snack, you have a cigarette and you're no longer hungry. There's also been research done for patients with the disease ulcerative colitis and the effect of smoking. The British Journal of Clinical Pharmacology did a study that looked at these patients with the disease and the application of a nicotine patch. And although they used a patch, it can be applied the same as cigarettes because they both contain nicotine. This study found that the nicotine patch lowered the risk of ever developing the disease in the first place, improving patients' symptoms, and decreasing the number of flare-ups, and this is compared to the traditional steroid treatment. The study also found that half of the cases had complete resolution of symptoms. However, despite there being substances that make you feel good in cigarettes, there are many that cause damaging health issues. Nicotine, which is responsible for the addictive response, also causes the body to increase its heart rate, blood pressure, and respiratory rate. All of these things cause a lot of added stress to the body. Smoking has also been proven to cause emphysema, chronic bronchitis, which is both part of COPD, throat cancer, and lung cancer. It also increases your risk greatly of having a heart attack or stroke. Many women smoke during pregnancy, which can lead to miscarriages, low birth weight, prematurity, severe birth defects, and the baby being stillborn. There is also a high risk with secondhand smoke from cigarettes. Many people can develop the same diseases as people who smoke cigarettes physically. Also, many people die each year from lung cancer who have never smoked a day in their life but have been around cigarette smoke. To conclude, cigarettes have been a staple for our country for many years and continue to be an important product. People have been smoking for hundreds of years, but the modern cigarette has brought about many chemical additives that lead to health problems. Almost 47 million people still smoke, and they need to be aware of the potential risks.